it's Amanda with Eat, Pray, Crunch, and I am a homeschooling mom of 3 neurodivergent kids. And today I am going to be talking about our curriculum choices for our 4.5-year-old, almost 5-year-old, for the upcoming 2022-2023 school year. So just a little bit of background about Teo. He is definitely a bright little kiddo, and because I have been homeschooling with big brother and sister for the last several years, of course he wants to be doing it too. And he has been for the entire last year. We had him doing a pre-K curriculum this last year. If you want to see my previous videos, you can see what we were doing with him for pre-K. He flew through that stuff, and it became apparent very quickly that he is a bright little kid. Now, we have not had him tested, so we don't know for sure if he is gifted or not, but I would not be surprised given that big brother is also twice exceptional. He may be as well. Teo was just diagnosed with ADHD by our family doctor as well. So all 5 of us have ADHD, including little Teo. So that is a factor in our choices for his curriculum as well. For the time being, we are just rolling with where he is academically. We wanted to enroll him this year in kindergarten in our district through our parent partnership program. I've talked about our parent partnership program before. It's a wonderful program where homeschooled kids can go into a real school and take real classes with real teachers and have real classmates. And it's just wonderful for nurturing that social side of our homeschooled kids. So we were hoping that because his birthday is October 13th, that the district would make an exception for him to start kindergarten officially this year. I contacted several people in the district, and they said they make an exception if they do a psychological evaluation with a psychologist. If it is, usually the cutoff is August 31st for their birthday has to be by August 31st. If they're going to start kindergarten, they have to be 5 by August 31st. And then they make exceptions from September 1st to September 30th. Since he is 13 days after that cutoff date, they would not make an exception at all, regardless of where he was academically. So that was highly frustrating. Granted, I understand their reasoning, like socially, emotionally, they want kids to be with their peers, that kind of thing. I get it. I understand it. However, academically, Teo started last year when he was 4 years old, started solid kindergarten curriculum this last school year. And he has been effectively working his way through kindergarten curriculum with no problem at all whatsoever. So even though he will not technically be starting kindergarten this year, according to the school district, he will still technically be in pre-K. In terms of homeschool, we will be doing kindergarten level work. So that is where we are at with Teo. So let's get into what we will be using for him for curriculum. Now, since he is only 4.5, we do a lot less with him. He does about half of the work that brother and sister do. I definitely want to keep learning fun and not overwhelming for him. So that's what we are doing at this point. So this is what we've got. Let's start with language arts. As you guys know, we are in love with the logic of English. We love logic of English. It has been so effective for my daughter, who was a resistant reader at first, but this curriculum has turned it around for her. Because it was so effective for her, I thought I would just go ahead and get my money's worth and use this curriculum with Teo as well. So that's what I have done. Sophie is currently on Foundations Book B. I just decided to start Teo on Foundations Book A. So we are about 2/3 of the way through Book A now with him, and he really enjoys this curriculum as well. It has also been really effective with him so far. So pleased with Logic of English, can't recommend it enough. Pricey, but worth it because it is so darn effective. So that is what we will continue working on with Teo this year, is Foundations A. And here is the student workbook that he is doing with that, and the Doodling Dragons, which is like the phonograms book that goes with it. So I am pretty certain that sometime this next school year he will finish Foundations A, in which case we will move into Foundations B with him. So I have this student workbook waiting for him, and I will just pull out Sophie's Foundations B. She'll probably be done with it by the time he moves on to it. So I just have this waiting for him once he finishes A. Now, Logic of English does do a little bit of handwriting, but for one, I'm not a huge fan of their manuscript style of writing. It's kind of slanty instead of up and down, which is fine. Like, they do that just to like prepare kids for learning cursive, that kind of thing. But I felt like I wanted a little bit more for helping Teo practice his handwriting. So this last year we started with the Good and the Beautiful level K handwriting, and this has been just fine. I'm not a huge fan of the Good and Beautiful, but their handwriting has been fine. He's actually almost, now let's see, he's almost through this book. He just has like 10 pages left or something like that. So once he finishes this book, then we will move him on to the printing book that we have done with Sophie that's been really effective, which is Handwriting Without Tears. This is the book that we did with Sophie last year, and once Teo finishes the Good and Beautiful handwriting, we will move on to Handwriting Without Tears, Letters and Numbers for Me, which is the kindergarten level handwriting. So it's pretty basic, very straightforward, and it has all of these rules for forming letters. I find myself referring to the rules that they use in here all the time, like, oh look, that's a magic C letter, like an A starts with making a C first, or making an O even starts with making a C first, or making a D starts with making a C first, that kind of thing. So like, oh, this is a magic C letter. So this has been really great. I have found this to be really effective for handwriting. So this is what Teo will be working on next for handwriting once he finishes the other book. And that is all he is doing for language arts. For math, I've talked about this in previous videos. We have been working on the Good and the Beautiful Math K with him. He's about halfway through this book, and it is more effective with him than it was with Sophie. So we are just sticking it through to the end, even though I'm not a huge fan of Good and the Beautiful. We are going to stick with it just because he enjoys it. He enjoys the little games and everything in it, and using the manipulatives and that kind of thing. And it seems to work with his learning style fine. So we will continue finishing this until it's done. And he loves math so much. He's kind of like Big Brother in that way. He loves math so much that he wanted to start doing the same math curriculum that Big Sister is doing. So I was like, all right, kid, you got it. So I got Horizons Level K to start Teo on. Now this is kind of advanced Level K, so it starts out easy, but it progresses pretty quick. We'll see how he does with it, but given that he is a pretty logical, mathematical little kid, I think that he's going to do pretty well with this, even as it advances. We'll be doing this, and there's also a book 2 that comes after this one. So he gets to do 2 math curriculums, at least until he finishes the Good and the Beautiful, and then we'll just focus on this after that. But as you can see, it's very colorful. I was considering doing Math Mammoth with him like I am doing with Alex, who will be my 4th grader. But I think just even though he's a mathematical little kid, I think that given he's still 4, he still needs that visual appeal and the like big print and that kind of thing, which Horizons offers. So at least for like the level K in the first grade, I think we will stick with Horizons for him. And then at that point we may switch him over to Math Mammoth, but we'll see. That'll probably be a year or two down the road. So that is the current plan for math for Teo. All right, let's move on to science. Scientific Connections Through Inquiry, level 0. This curriculum I am going to be doing with Sophie and Teo together. I think because Teo is more advanced with his science and Sophie is like a little more like average for her age with science, I figured they would both be at about the same level that they could do it together, which I think would be fun to make it more of a group subject. This is what we are going to be doing. I go into a little more detail about what this book is based on and what's in it and that kind of thing in Sophie and Alex's curriculum reviews. If you want to see a little bit more, go check out those reviews. But I am so thrilled about this curriculum. It's secular. It is really solid foundation in good hard science, which is what we want our kids to have, is scientific literacy. And this will achieve that. So I am really excited to be doing this. Sophie and Teo are both really excited to be doing this together this year. So that is what we are doing for science. Now, I didn't do science with Teo last year, so he's thrilled to be adding that subject into his homeschool this year, just like big brother and sister. I am also adding one more subject in this year. Given that he's doing kindergarten level work, I decided to add social studies into his array of curriculum as well. As I have mentioned in our group subjects video, which I will link here or in the description down below, we do history as a family, as a group subject. So we go into much more in-depth history together as a family. However, social studies makes up a lot more than just history. And there are actually, Common Core standards in terms of like civics and economics that kids need to know by grade level. So I decided I would start Teo off for the level K as well. I'm doing the same thing with him that I am doing with Alex and Sophie, which is the Shell Education 180 Days of Social Studies for kindergarten. They have a kindergarten level 1, which I'm like, woohoo! Teo can do this as well with big brother and sister. This is just really basic because it's kindergarten level. It's just understanding like your community and like the workers in your community and basic geographical features and things like that. So I think this will be a really good solid foundation for civics, economics, geography, history for Teo. And just like I'm doing with Alex and Sophie, I'm also adding in the Evan Moor geography just to solidify the geography a little bit more. Like I've said in many videos before, I love how colorful Evan Moor is, how engaging it is, and I think this is something that Teo is totally capable of, and I think he will enjoy. If we manage to get through this year, then we will just move on to the Evan Moor first grade geography. So that is the plan for Teo for social studies. Finally, I have the just random things that are not full subjects, but I do with him in addition as supplemental kind of thing. So this is the Scholastic Wipe Clean Kindergarten Workbook. This was the very first homeschool book that I got for Alex 5 years ago when we first started officially homeschooling. We're going into our 5th year now and I can't believe it. So this has been through Alex and through Sophie, and now Teo is almost done with it. And so he's actually just about done with this one. And then I have the first grade one waiting for when he finishes that one. He really enjoys doing the Wipe Clean book. All 3 kids have actually really enjoyed this one. It's fun, it's colorful. You get to use dry erase markers. It's fun. And similarly, I think I talked about this in my summer video, but last year Teo was doing the highlights pre-K level, which just goes to like pre-literacy and counting and shapes and colors and the like pre-K stuff, which he flew through those books. He just flew through them. And I was just going to be done with them and just do what I just showed you for following that, but he said, no, mommy, I want to get more of the highlights, more of the highlights. So I was like, okay, kid. He is eager to learn. So I ordered him the Level K Highlights workbook. So this basically just does review of all of the other subjects that we're learning. So it's like letter review and number review and like opposites and what doesn't belong, what things match, patterns, shapes, colors, counting, skip counting, that kind of thing. So Teo really enjoys this, so I just incorporate this into his daily work as well. And finally, I've talked about this in Alex and Sophie's curriculum choices as well, but on Sundays we talk about spiritual matters and do like a children's Bible, that kind of thing. And I also decided to incorporate this Heart in Mind by Evan Moor. This is for ages 4 and 5, just to talk about spiritual health, mental health with our kids, because I think that it's critical that we start having open conversations about that with them and having them, you know, start thinking about their hearts and their mind from a young age. So I'm really impressed with these books, really engaging, just really simple, getting them to think about their thoughts and their feelings and that kind of thing. So that is everything that I have for Teo. Like I said, we really wanted to have him officially enroll in our parent partnership this year, but they wouldn't let him. So he is just going to, like he did last year, he's just going to be tag along T, and he's going to join Sophie for the little art and movement class that she's going to be taking. I think that will be a fun class for him to join along. So anyway, that is what I got. That is everything that I have for Teo for his technically pre-K, but really kindergarten level curriculum for the 2022-2023 school year. If you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. And if this is the kind of content that you find interesting or helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see any future videos that I put out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.